There, that sounds like...
It was awesome.
Yeah, that sounds like what
the demons in my dreams tell me.
Okay. Hey friends, welcome back. It's Wes from Perfect Circuit. Today we're going to be taking a look at some unique methods to create generative drum patterns in the modular environment. Many people have different approaches to making generative or probabilistic music, but my favorite methods include using some random generators like the deviant from Moff and Zeef Modular, as well as some probabilistic trigger generators, of which the Kompas from Bastl Instruments is my absolute favorite. But pairing those with some complex envelopes and modules that allow for heavy modulation is going to result in a lot of sweet spots, and utilizing just snapshots of those sweet spots to create percussive patterns and rhythms can be really fun in Eurorack. I put together a handful of simple drum sounds to sequence generatively, as well as one kind of kooky, complex oscillator voice to create a little bit of interest and wacky sounds. So we'll take a listen to my kick drum right now, which is very simply just a maths envelope going into the loquelic atiritas, which makes a really nice fat sounding round kick drum. And then in addition to that, I'm sending it a little bit of wacky modulation. I also made this quick percussive complex oscillator patch. That just kind of screams and goes wild and absolutely crazy. It's generated by two self-oscillating filters, one fed into the other, and then going through the Chronoblob and the RT60 for a little bit of spice, kind of jazz things up a little bit. The only other sounds I used in this patch were two samples from the Grandpa, one of a toilet flushing, which I use as my hi-hat, and then one of some rain dripping through some gutters outside of my house in Minnesota that I use as the clap. Before we get too wild with generative beats and percussion shooting all over the place, I like to start by patching a relatively straight and simple rhythm just to create the backbone, and so that when things do start blasting off all over the place, we still kind of know where we are in the rhythm, so we can performatively trigger and make things happen in time. So real quickly, I just patched up this toilet sound and rain sound to be the hi-hat and the clap, coming in on the 2 and the 3. Now let's make some generative stuff. So what I've patched up here is the foundation of my earlier patch. Basically, we've got the Kompas being clocked from PAMs and then sending triggers into this tunnel, which come out here and turn on our VCAs, which are just sending us very simple sine waves from my filters. The Kompas will just generate cool patterns to an extent, as you can hear. And you can just play with the knobs and get interesting, fun results. But then you have to sit there and spin the knobs a whole bunch. So what I like to do is use the deviant, which in this case is being triggered from the Kompas and also from Pam's workout, to modulate the input signals of the Kompas. So we'll just kind of do one of these, and we'll use maths over here to make this signal negative, and then we'll go down there and absolutely create a fun little mess. And now our pattern is going to be a lot more responsive to changes. And then we want to put our Kompas knobs at the very top there, because the Moff and Zeef deviants can go positive or negative, and you can control that amount. So a lot of the magic from generative patching in this instance comes from recycling voltage. What I mean by this is that the Kompas is feeding the deviant with random triggers, and in turn the deviant is feeding random voltage back into the Kompas. One's behavior is influencing the other and vice versa. And we get really interesting patterns that are constantly shifting and changing because of this. So by harnessing the unique behavior that comes out of these modules influencing each other, patching it into our sound sources, effects, and complex envelopes, we can create really interesting patterns that are going to be constantly evolving and shifting and creating new interest. It's generative noise music. A big part of my workflow is using performance macros, which are easy to access utilities and functions that can very quickly change up the sound or the rhythm of the pattern that's going on. In this patch, I use the voltage block and maths as kind of my performance macros. So like on the kick drum here, I can really easily trigger these 2 channels of the voltage block to absolutely mess up my kick drum in a number of ways. I'm also using maths in tandem with the compass to process some voltage that's going to allow me to dial in new kick drum patterns very quickly. In my opinion, it's important to create performance macros because patches like this can get very dense and you want to know what you're grabbing, turning on, turning off, and how you're controlling it so that in a performance-oriented setting, you feel comfortable playing your instrument. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Let us know how you like to create generative patterns, if there's any special modules or techniques that you're hot on right now. Make sure to like, subscribe, and tell your mother you love her. Because it's important.